So for UDL to be met, I have thought of some materials that will help students make better connections and that will help them function better in the classroom. So one of the things that I made is a cluster diagram. This will be very useful for students when they need to make connections to the main idea and significant details. So the main idea, whatever that is going to go in this big middle circle, and then you're going to have to draw lines, and then significant details will go out here. Students will have the option of either doing it with the one I provided for them. They can make their own, or they can do an iPad version, as long as they can see that like significant details support the main idea and the main idea supports the significant details through those lines and the webbing and such. So I will meet scaffolding through my lesson plan. I have model, guided, and unguided. So through my model, I'll show students what I need to do. This will be happening in lessons 1 and 2 mainly. I'll be modeling, and then there will be guided practice in both lessons 1 and 2. And what guided practice is a teacher will tell students what they need to do with the first story. Like, how do we find significant details? The teacher will explicitly tell the students what they need to do. The second story, the teacher is going to ask the students what she needs to do in order to find significant details. And the third story, she will remind, if necessary, to the students what they need to do and what she needs to do to find significant details. So the scaffolding starts high, and eventually it'll be like released and as we go through each practice. So to support learners' self-regulation, I'm going to provide positive feedback to all students that are on task, working hard, and if they answer questions correctly or if they're, on the right track, I'm going to provide that. I'm going to do corrective feedback and build upon what they know so we can get them towards the right answer. Specifically for my student, Daryl, I'm going to have him be on a check-in and check-out system during the day. He's going to have a mentor teacher. In the morning, he's going to meet that mentor teacher, and they're going to talk about what Daryl's expectations are for the day, what Daryl can do if he gets frustrated, and then the teacher is going to ask Daryl to think of his one big goal that he wants to today. Like, what does he really want to work on, and what does he really want to do good at today? And then Daryl will have to get his answers approved, like they have to be on the same page, and then Daryl will go throughout his day with a sheet of paper with his 5 behavior expectations in all his classes. So throughout the day, Daryl has 37 points that he can get, and the teacher will have to do his initials or sign on the sheet, and then depending on if he meets his behavioral expectations in each class will depend on how many points he gets. So at the end of the day, Daryl will have to talk to his mentor teacher about what went well, and then he will be asked by his mentor teacher what he thinks he needs to work on. And if Daryl meets some behavioral or all behavioral expectations, he will get points towards a reward. For executive functioning, I'm to help people become independent learners. I'm still going to provide positive feedback to students because I think if you affirm or even politely correct or like guide towards correcting in the right way, it can help students really like take ownership of their learning. And then to really help with Tamala, because she has a problem with executive functioning skills, I have a checklist plan for them. So on the left side, there's going to be boxes for to check off when you finish a step. And then on the right side, there's going to be boxes with explicit instructions or what's expected of them to complete for them to check off that task. I think this is a good step for students to become independent learners, is if they kind of have a guide or a plan of what they need to do. And this way they can start to be independent, but they still have opportunities to ask questions. That way they can show what step they're on and where they're stuck at. I think this will really help not just Tamala, but other students take ownership of their learning. And to facilitate thoughtful choice making, I'm going to let my students pick out whether they want to do their work on an iPad or printed out copies. This will also help students take ownership of what they're learning. If they have options as to what they can do, I will remind them that they have to pick something that will help them work the best. And yeah.